Let's go. Так, что там по... Так, надо геймпад включить. Угу. Что там у нас по звуку? Так. Все, погнали. Так, надо вырубить звук. Так. Окей, в прошлый раз мы поговорили с Куно. Он нам сказал, что больше не будет саранчой увлекаться. Теперь нам нужно идти. Кстати, мы можем уже пойти позвонить.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
This is precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Публичная библиотека Джамрока.
I've got...
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer?
He sounds worried, yet ready to assist. This is how people get when the police call.
Я хотел бы получить любую информацию, какую возможно, на вашем читателе по имени Билли Межан.
Billy Majan, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
Пускает трубку.
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Majan's home address, is that alright? No phone number, unfortunately.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
У меня с адресами туго. Да, адрес
Here we
достаточно.
go, sir. Rue de Saint-Gilles Lane, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Capeside apartment.
Кипсайт.
That's all.
Это вот это здание, в котором мы живем. Ой, живем, в которое мы ходили, там, где живет Куно.
That's where the smoker on the balcony lives, isn't it?
Вам известно что-нибудь еще о Билли?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day.
А вы знаете кого-нибудь, кто работал?
Marie? Marie? Do you remember a reader named Billy Majan? They returned a Tybalt book the other day.
Слышь, как издалека кто-то отвечает.
Maurice, what? A woman yells. Then, yes, okay. If it was the police, she starts explaining something.
Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87, but we don't have it yet.
Good. You have a name now.
То есть Билли Межан это женщина, не мужчина. Откуда ваш коллега знает, что это был ее муж?
Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her.
And then goes for a little drink later. On the lookout.
Ясно. Билли Межан. Я пока... Ладно.
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight.
Мария может описать, как выглядел этот муж?
Marie?
Вот несколько
She
секунд.
said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him.
Во что он был одет?
One second.
Библиотекарь снова отворачивается от телефона и
Sorry,
переспрашивает.
Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that.
Спасибо, у меня все, других вопросов нет. Завершите разговор.
Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
Библиотекарь кладет трубку, и звонок тихим щелчком перекидывается на станцию.
Anything else you need from me?
In the cabin, you see.
Так, где-то в Кипсайде. Какая-то комната в Кипсайде. Надо будет, но фиг знает, где конкретно она находится. Возможно, внутри здания или нет. Пирсе, так. Отправляйтесь к Билли Межан, чтобы сообщить плохие новости. Она живет в 20-й квартире жилого дома на севере Мартинес. Дело пропавших насекомых. Кстати, вот эти товарищи, наши коллеги, они что скажут?
Again? I can't believe this shit.
самое, да, погоди?
Okay.
Окей.
It's a mere second.
Мне нравится этот окей.
Yes? What is it?
Ладно, Морел. Куна обещал, что больше не будет.
Hello, officer. I think I almost had. So it was just a child.
Девчонка поджимает губы как
Thank you
залог.
for telling us, sweetie. This is good news, right? It means we can try again.
She acts chipper, but something's changed in her tone. A hidden worry.
Мгм.
Something is secretly gnawing at her confidence. It's not this Kuno kid or the missing locust. It's something else.
Yeah, you're right. We just need to restock the empty trap. Then we'll need to inspect the traps one more time. And then maybe we can.
Мгм. Лучше ему никуда не
He
идти.
has a 38-degree fever. His resilience has given way.
Да.
Darling, I told you to take it easy. You're getting sick. Maybe it's time to go home.
You're right, you're right. We can come back next season when it's warmer.
Давайте я. Черт, я могу положить в ловушку новую наживку.
You can? Fine. It's better than having these people get pneumonia on the coast. But after this,
He wants to see this tale through as much as you. Otherwise, he'd have stopped this already. But he cannot let it drag out after this.
Really? It's too much, officer.
What Morel means is we're grateful for your help.
Кивает мужу.
Here's a fresh batch of locusts. They should slide right down the funnel. And thank you again. We will definitely mention you, should this lead to a discovery. I'm not talking co-discovery, of course, but...
This would show them all. We need to get you on that list of discoverers. No question about that.
Ясно. Если тут, конечно, можно достать эту саранчу. Ой, саранчу, эту фазмида. То, что мне кажется, что это выдумка.
Oh, hello, sweetie.
Так, Морел.
Hello, officer. I think
А,
I almost have it. A new trap design.
Давай об криптидах, окей.
I already did my best to inform you.
Я много знаю о доброй обезьяне.
I'm guessing you heard about it from Lena. The kind green ape is one of her favorites.
A warm wave passes him. Of course, the kind green ape is her favorite, he thinks.
Ну да, она добрая
We
обезьянка.
travelled to South Safra to look for it once. Gary and I got stuck in a rainstorm though, and had to spend most of our time there in a little village. The search was fabulously unsuccessful, but the people were very nice. I'm glad they didn't understand what Gary was saying about them.
He's a good and loyal man, despite his ramblings, the elderly cryptozoologist
Mhm.
thinks to himself. Their relationship transcends Gary's politics. It must to work. Plus, a guy like Morel knows a thing or two about being on the fringes himself, though his fringes are different.
Я знаю, какой криптид самый опасный. Жромский вон.
Formerly the most dangerous, yes. But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid?
He doesn't want to make it feel like you knowing it is some big deal.
Из ныне живущих? Нет.
The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant, known colloquially as the dread moose.
Страхолось. Страхолось.
Yes, the dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. It has even been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance.
Просто что у него с головой не так. Он бешеный, наверное. Видите, на людей он тоже нападает.
Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will.
Стадо пробежало по человеку. Ладно, как выглядит
It's
страхолось?
like an ordinary ardent moose.
А как тогда отличить страхолось от
You
обычного?
can't. That's what makes it so dreadful and hard to identify.
Если он такой же, как и остальные лоси, то существует ли он? Просто лось, который сошел с ума, отлично.
A moose that looks like any other moose. What's going on here? He's kidding, right?
Есть у меня сомнения по поводу этого страхолося. Я на 100% за страхолося. Абсолютно верю, что он существует. Нет.
The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more.
Думаю, мы достаточно услышали. Нет, какие?
The recent surge in the moose population has hidden carnivores. The dread moose are effectively removing competition for both themselves and their evolutionary cousins.
Зачем ему скрывать свою хищную природу? А как соотносятся хищные лоси с обычными? Если пока... Ну, давай по порядку.
Moose are already being hunted for sport. Can you imagine what would happen if they came to be viewed as predators?
А как соотносятся хищные лоси с обычными лосями?
Carnivorous moose are a very young species, the result of a genetic mutation. It makes sense that such a majestic animal with natural weapons, antlers, would come to rule the forest. The only strange thing is that it took so long.
Есть ли показания надежных свидетелей, видевших, как лось убивает других животных ради пропитания?
One slaughterhouse at the outskirts of the woods in Vasa reported that its staff kept seeing moose in the distance. The moose would just stare at the building, as though they were waiting for something, its eyes bloodshot and full of cruelty.
Звучит и правда подозрительно.
And
Ладно,
that's
давай.
not all. Some of the slaughterhouse apprentices went hiking by a nearby creek and saw a moose nibbling on an unidentified carcass.
This isn't something unique. Various species of deer have been known to scavenge.
Да,
and
да,
run
я вот
food.
про это говорю.
Anyway, there is more than enough evidence to justify a thorough search for the dread moose. Let's close the subject before it turns into an argument.
Here is a man who has had more than his fair share of heated arguments and would, surprising as it may seem, prefer not to have any more.
Так, Ансурский великан, Каканурский великан, Крибактер катленсис, носорог. Расскажите про любого. Я знаю, какой крикет самый большой.
That's impressive, I guess. But have you seen it with your own eyes?
Нет. А вы?
I haven't had a chance to travel to Coco North. No. And I likely never will. The Samaskill desert region has been embroiled in a small civil war for the last 8 years. I fear this mindless barbarism may have wiped out the elusive creature entirely. Sightings of towering luminosities have grown rare recently, while they
Как я
once used to be
понимаю,
constants.
Yes, sightings of mirages are constant. A mirage is a
да-да-да.
constant phenomenon that people have no time to report when a war is going on.
Ну вот, да.
It remains unclear what this has got to do with you seeing it, as he was inquiring before. He was just being defensive.
Я знаю про Криобактер катленсис.
Oh, everyone knows about that one, thanks to Professor Mijanu being the talk of the town for a time.
Так, сейчас я открою чат. Так. Погнали. Ой, да, про него все знают. В какой-то момент все только о профессоре Мижану говорили. Он, конечно, клок.
Although,
Сейчас, секунду.
probably because her life ended as a result of her work in Gutler, no one remembers her contributions to the search for the Nongok. A flightless cursor owl found in the Seminine Isles. Its long legs permit the Nongok to run faster than any other avian, perhaps any other animal, who knows? Well, it's not hunting its prey in this manner. The ock hangs from tree branches, like a bat, waiting to dive on hapless prey below on the jungle floor. Mijanu liked extreme animals, you see. One of the few figures of the academic establishment I respect. Really a shame she disappeared.
Когда она пропала?
Oh, decades ago. In the 30s. I didn't know her personally, of course. The chasm of academic pretension still stood before us.
Так, я...
Even though she had unusual courage for someone from the other side.
Я, короче, буду врубать диалоги и периодически врубать микрофон, потому что посторонний шум там он слышен очень хорошо.
Did he? Well, that one's a hoax. Some Seraise rice farmers set fire to rhinoceros cadavers and use them to scare tourists.
Вы говорили об этом Гэри?
Many times. It always turns into an argument. I don't want to repeat it. The rhino holds a special place in his heart. Let it. Myths are part of my field.
Я вот так сделаю, сейчас посмотрю по звуку. Так, ладно, поехали. А что если другие криптиды тоже мистификации?
Many of them probably are. Statistically speaking, about 20% of all cryptids are verified hoaxes. Uncovering falsehoods deliberately fabricated to fool the public is just as much my calling as finding new species.
If perhaps slightly less enjoyable.
Which one? The burning rhino is where they draw the line.
I doubt that. Once confirmed a hoax, so-called sightings of the rhino stopped. Was there anything else?
Короче, носорога этого не существует, ясно. Но мы все равно думаем, мало ли. Хотя я вообще тут думаю, криптиды их нет. Хотя, возможно, по квестам мы найдем этого фазмида. Ну, посмотрим, как оно будет. Просто расскажите мне про какого-нибудь клевого криптида, любого.
No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena hadn't persuaded me to go back to field research. You should ask her if you want interesting stories. Me? I'm not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work and persistence.
This is a gruff man who's been ridiculed too many times to feel comfortable talking about what's dearest to his heart. It's in his shoulders. His face is everything.
Be friendly, dear. The detective really likes these critters. We've talked about them in great detail.
Now the man feels embarrassed. Time to move on, perhaps.
By all means.
Oh, hello, sweetie. Yes, I saw it, but you're welcome.
And she could get up and walk, right?
You know, to hell with it. Let's have more cryptids.
Of course, officers. Is there a particular
О,
cryptid you
здесь
two are
про
interested
птичку.
in learning about?
Офигеть, птичка. Так, сейчас звук посмотрю. Так, сейчас надо чуть потише сделать игру. Она сейчас громче, чем я. Давай нам так. Так, а это птица. Такой же криптид?
No, it's the cryptid.
Ого, самый главный криптид?
Oh, yes.
Серебристый череп поблескивает у тебя между пальцев. Клюв у его остр. Востр. Так, и что же это за
The
птица?
eight-eyed teratorn, the largest flying avian ever discovered, with a wingspan of 11.5 meters. It was thought to have gone extinct 3,500 years ago. Some even doubted the fossils were real. A mutation, they said. Until
Маленькая такая птичка, конечно.
it was sighted by renowned Gottwaldian explorer and naturalist Uwe Plattenkalk in
This renown seems a bit dubious. Your own catalogue comes up completely empty. But, of course, you are not all-knowing.
Расскажите подробнее о том, как он его увидел.
It happened on a botanical expedition into the vast and unexplored Oamrau Canyon in southeast Ilmara. Dr. Plattenkalk got separated from his group during a sandstorm.
Так, а Умара это...
The world's largest canyon system, sweetie. It's a barren waste east of the Erg Desert. An ancient riverbed completely dried up.
Что случилось?
Alone in the blasted desert heat, the doctor wandered eastward, where man hasn't stepped foot in over 1,000 years, since the fall of Pericarnassus.
Перекарнас, это, видимо, какая-то древняя
He was
цивилизация,
lost
так понял.
without any navigation equipment and desperately low on water. After a day or two, he noticed a bird high in the noon sky. A great black bird. It seemed gargantuan.
Про Перекарнас нам еще эти рейверы рассказывали. Окей.
Every now and then, the bird would dive down to feed on an animal carcass somewhere on the horizon. But by the time Uwe got there, the Terator
Сейчас.
had taken off already, and the carcass was
следовал за
picked
птицей?
clean. This happened many times. Yes, or rather, hunting. A bird that big has a lot of blood in it, and he was dying of thirst. For many days, Dr. Plattenkalk followed the Teratorn until they reached a great canyon wall where the bird finally landed to rest. The professor climbed up there with a rock in his hand. He found the bird sleeping with his head tucked under its wing, a great black pile of feathers on the perch. So he approached, slowly squeezing the rock in his fist.
Watch out.
Then the Teratorn suddenly looked at him. He could see it had 8 eyes, 4 on either side of its skull, like a spider. And the man couldn't move. He was paralyzed, frozen into place with the rock in his hand. Whatever he did, he could not get closer to the bird.
Выпить кровь, да. Отлично, чувак, конечно, воду нашел.
The bird
Почему?
was controlling his mind. It kept him from approaching. He could step back, but every time he stepped forward, paralysis. Uwe spent 3 days trying until the bird flew away.
Стоп, а как он сумел выжить и все рассказать?
The 8-eyed Teratorn was indifferent to him, as long as he didn't get closer than 2 steps. It even let him feed on some carcasses up there, and the 2 unfertilized eggs it left behind.
Восьмиглазая птица, способная управлять разумом. Восьмиглазая птица, способная управлять разумом. Да ну. Ну нет. Да ну.
Yes way, sweetie. Cryptozoologists have been tracing it ever since, but Wamrao is vast, mysterious, and holds many secrets.
This one I liked. Not only does it have 8 eyes, and is a living fossil, and the largest bird ever to live, it also does mind control.
He's sincere. He likes the audacity of it.
Мне тоже понравились криптиды некоторые. И это была последняя встреча с ним.
Sadly, yes. But there are numerous reports of eight-eyed bird skulls from Il Mara. And then there's the striking resemblance to the Pericarnassian imperial eagle, an ancient heraldic symbol that is hard to pass off as coincidence. The imperial eagle, too, had 8 eyes.
Not really. It's just stylization. The way they drew eyes. It's not a zoological drawing.
This one's very famous. Everyone knows it. People will be looking at that tie on you and thinking, that man is into cryptids. So, what else do you want to know? I'm glad you like them.
Hello, officer. Okay. I already did my best to inform you. I don't really know what else I could discuss with the... By all means.
Так, окей. Наша теперь задача идти рассказать все Билл Межан. Билли Межан. Но кто она такая? Так, мне нужно бежать. Кстати, у меня найди свою героическую птицу, да. Давай, пока время есть, я думаю, выполню квест, прочитаю книгу. В свойствах, подожди, это Пикмалин. Во. Книга о различных видах какаду и поведенческих проблемах. Быть может, она прольет свет и на некоторые твои сомнительные поступки. К обложке на тебя смотрит великолепный, огромный, ослепительный какаду.
A cockatoo is a parrot with an erectile crest, found on the Seminole Islands and in southern Fas al-Amer. Known for their intelligence and general precociousness, cockatoos are popular birds in aviculture. However, they often exhibit various behavioral issues.
Хорошо, что еще?
This book talks about the delicate nature of twos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the bird enthusiasts. The funeral cockatoo, the major majestic cockatoo, and the most common bang-bang cockatoo. It's colorfully illustrated.
Ладно, и какие проблемы у этих птиц?
Where to even begin? All cockatoos are known for their needy natures, requiring attention for at least 2 full hours a day. They love to talk and have been described as lovable clowns who just don't know how to wrap up.
Очаровательные клоуны. Так, я был бы не против здорово иметь рядом кого-то, с кем можно поговорить и не чувствовать одиночества. Кому вообще нужен болтливый товарищ? Я хочу найти кого-то, кто умеет слушать. И мне нравится первое.
Pet owners also report moodiness, loudness, and hostility as recurring issues. If left unsatisfied, cockatoos may scream non-stop, pluck their feathers, or become aggressive.
Понятно, довольно печальная картина. Еще что-нибудь?
It is not recommended to get a cockatoo if you're not able to cook them food every day and give them the full care that they need. These birds will never understand that you have a life of your own.
Я, кстати, птичек люблю. Так, хорошо, но ведь должен же в какаду быть еще какой-то
You're
кто-то
right.
выдающийся.
Cockatoos are
Кто-то выдающийся.
magnificent creatures. They love to perform, cuddle and show off, and will even scream for fun, often as loud as up to 135 decibels. Ouch. That must hurt. Not great for the neighbors. Performing? Yes, birdie.
Белди, что за птаха? Прочитать тетраудером какаду. Давай.
This is a yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Its specific name, Psittacus venereus, relates to its dark and somber plumage. This bird looks as if dressed for a funeral, 24/7. There is something indisputably ominous about it.
Читайте о Большом Королевском году.
Perhaps the most impressive of all the species, the endangered major majestic cockatoo, is often described as the most flamboyant bird in the jungle. Its pink-colored wings and flowing crest embellishing its proud and bumptious nature. In the words of poet-explorer Sir James Fournier, few birds more enliven the monotonous hues of the verdant forest than this big, bold, and beautiful species.
Мне, кстати, вот интересно, а если птица или какое-то животное попадет в серость, его тоже перегрузит воспоминаниями прошлого?
It must be glorious to behold, dark pink and snow white.
И можно ли получить воспоминания от животных? Прочитать о самом обычном тук-тук какаду.
Despite its banging name, the bang-bang cockatoo is actually the shyest of the species, common in almost all Seminoles forests, as well as zoos and homes all over the world. Its plumage is mainly grey and white. The Seminoles name, bang-bang, is thought to be of onomatopoeic origins.
Честно говоря, и правда похоже на меня.
Yes, but all those cockatoo species are so different. Which one are you?
Обычный серый тук-тук — это я. Только траурный какаду по-настоящему отражает глубину моей сочащейся безысходности души. Разве не очевидно? Большой Королевский — это по мне. Что если мой вид попка-мудак? Мне нужно время подумать. Обычный серый.
You're right. You're the mediocrity embodied. This unsung bird belongs on your heraldry.
И... Так, найдите орудие убийства, осталось только. Определите, откуда был сделан выстрел, поспрашивайте древней руби, труп на персе. Спросите, он в нарколаборатории еще надо спросить. Так, погнали. Ой, куда я иду? Там ничего нету. Так, мадам, скажите, пожалуйста, где находится квартира?
Give me a moment.
Я ищу Билли Межан. Вы знаете, где она живет?
It's about Victor, isn't it? It's always about Victor with her. You'll find the Mejans in apartment 20 upstairs. It's one of those doors on the balcony.
Понятно. Виктор. Ну да, с Виктором что-то. Печально, конечно. Вот эта дверь, про которую я говорил тогда в прошлый раз.
A weathered brown door. The number reads 20. Something smells good. Soup allons, yo. The lieutenant motions to you to go ahead and knock.
Погоди, Тим, давай сперва обсудим, что нам ожидать.
You're right. Let's talk this through.
Он смотрит на дверь квартиры и немного понижает
You
голос.
hear some light footsteps and what appears to be a daily weather forecast playing on the radio.
We have our first preliminary identification. In all likelihood, the deceased is the husband of Billy Mejean. We need to confirm this, as well as deliver the death notification to Billy herself. Now, delivering a death notification is never an easy task. There's a reason why it's often called the most stressful part of our job. This is why it's usually done in pairs. You got this. I'll be monitoring reactions, ready to act if necessary.
Можешь посоветовать, что мне сказать?
Dad, just don't say that you know how they feel. You don't.
Good advice.
А что если я не хочу этого делать?
Yes, it's hard. But there is no easy way to handle this information. It just has to happen, as soon as possible.
Ладно, пожалуй, я готов. Погнали, Ким, давай.
The lieutenant motions towards the door.
Стучать.
Hello? Who is it?
Раздается голос из-за двери.
And someone turns down the radio.
Посмотреть сначала на лейтенанта.
He gives you a short, encouraging nod.
Он ободряюще кивает. Здесь живет Билли Межан. Это полиция, откройте.
The police? A moment, please give us a moment.
Ты слышишь шум в квартире.
Tidying up. No, there's fear in her voice.
Come in, the door is open.
Только не беги, хорошо, осмотри ту квартиру не спеша, имей уважение. Давай. Под кроватью спрятана пустая пачка из-под сигарет красная ветра. Сигареты той же марки, что найдены в мусоре рядом с погибшим. Окна заклеены старыми вырезками из газет. Неужели занавески не по карману? Упаковки с макаронами, гуманитарная помощь. У нас. Меня, по крайней мере. Так. На плите греются остатки какой-то еды. Здесь пахнет гречкой и луком. Нет, не надо бегать. Бегай. Нарисованная мелом шкала, на которой отмечен рост ребенка в разном возрасте. Со странной бодростью тикают часы. Учебник для старших классов. Математика, в основном тригонометрия. А на стенах висят плакаты современных поп-звезд. Так, я ничего больше не вижу.
It's you from the book stand. Did you come to bring my cockatoo back?
Наверное, улыбается, потом улыбка сходит с ее лица.
I don't think I introduced myself properly. I'm Billy. Would you like something to drink? Tea? Lemonade? We're out of coffee.
The lieutenant has taken off his foggy glasses and is busy cleaning them in his handkerchief for now. You're on your own here. Condensation from stepping inside. He must feel vulnerable without his glasses. Is this why he's letting you take the lead?
Спасибо, мне ничего не надо.
Is this about Victor, my husband? Is he in some kind of trouble again? I can come pick him up in the station if that's what.
Она замолкает, пытаясь прочитать у тебя в глазах ответы.
Keep it together. You don't want your body language to tell her the news.
Sorry, I'm rambling. It's just that Victor often gets into all kinds of trouble. So, how can I help you?
How about some small talk before you break the news? Definitely no small talk. This isn't the time or place.
Я заметил, что вы что-то готовите.
People got to eat? What is this about? Why are you suddenly asking me about my cooking?
Вы здесь живете со своим мужем
It's
Виктором,
me,
верно?
Victor, and the kids here. We have 2 daughters, Jenny and Jolie.
Сколько по вашим дочерям?
Jolie is 16 and Jenny is turning 18 next month.
И куда все подевались? Дома смотрю
The
никого.
girls are staying at their friend's place tonight. And Victor is out.
She swallows visibly.
Отлучилась куда?
He has a problem with drinking. And so he disappears every now and then. He's probably in the parks drinking with his friends. I sent him to the library a few days ago, but I guess something came up.
Она кисло улыбается. Вам известно, добрался ли он до библиотеки? Как называется библиотека? Что он собирался делать в библиотеке? Помните, что он был одет, когда вы последний раз видели его? Как называется библиотека?
Oh, it's in Jamrock. The one at Mayrow Street. I don't know the official name.
Central Jamrock Public Library?
I think, yes, if that's the one on Moreau.
It
это она.
is.
Он из мест... Так, что он собирался делать в библиотеке?
Just to return a book of mine. Why? Why all those questions, detective?
Do something? Break something? It's a fool's hope.
Это была блестящая Тибо.
Yes,
Помните, во что он был одет последний раз?
his old leather jacket.
Описать можете?
It's just your average brown leather jacket, but he bought it as a teenager, so
Что насчет подкладки?
yes. The lining is hand-sewn, it's blue. I tried to make the thing more weatherproof since he's running around with it in the middle of winter.
Вам известно, добрался ли он до
No,
библиотеки?
I guess I'll find out when he decides to come back home.
Где?
It shouldn't be long from now.
She folds her hands across her chest.
Поток лейтенанта. Все обсудили с Кимом, сохранил самообладание, определил владельца читательского билета, определил владельца кожаной куртки. Здесь Ким. Давай.
You've done this before. Just keep your focus.
Господи, мне что, просто взять так... Мне очень жаль, что приходится такое говорить, но вашего мужа Виктора Межана нашли мертвым на пирсе Мартинезе.
What did you say?
Ваш муж Виктор Межан умер. Примите мои соболезнования. Касается шеи, ее глаза бледнеют жемчужным. Морского дела.
Oh, but he was just...
Он глядит на кухонный стол, где в пепельнице еще осталось 2 окурка.
But he was just here. Alive.
We understand this comes as a huge shock. I want you to know that me and my partner are here for you if you have any questions. Take your time, ma'am.
What happened to him?
Ворочек к тебе, ее шея и лицо покрываются красными пятнами. Она подбородок дрожит. Это был не... Пока еще рано говорить, но на первый взгляд выходит, что он подскользнулся, ударился головой. Это был несчастный случай. Он провалился в дыру, на стиле ударился головой.
Was he drunk?
Да, алкоголь мог сыграть свою роль.
I see. And you just found him there, lying in the cold. How long had he been there?
If you say 2 days maybe, it will be etched in her mind forever.
Вряд ли очень долго.
She blinks, eyes welling up with tears, as her hand starts searching for something from the pockets of her dress. The handkerchief.
Вот, возьмите.
Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone we could call for you? A friend, a family member, someone who could be here for you?
No. I just need to tell my girls.
Воздух со свистом врывается из легких.
Unreal.
God, should I call them? Should I tell them to come home?
No. A day.
Нет, выделите себе день, чтобы прийти в себя, а завтра, когда они вернутся, вы будете готовы.
Good. That's probably the right thing. Thank you.
Накивает, но ее лицо искажено гримасой горя.
Just tell me, what do I need to do next? Where is he? Can I see him?
We've taken him to the city morgue. The local coroner will be contacting you shortly to arrange the funeral. Here's his number in case you want to contact him earlier.
Он отдает ей карточку, на которой указан телефон морга.
A very good call.
Is there anything else that the RCM could do for you?
No, I'll call you if something comes up. I'm still...
Он трет лицо, проводит пальцами по онемевшим щекам.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me. I'll call if...
Еще раз соболезную.
We should step outside and talk.
Положить рядом с ней читательский билет и выйти из комнаты. Да.
You did well.
Я мог бы больше для них сделать.
You did enough.
Он умолкает, потирает руки, чтобы
Can't
согреться.
save the whole world, you know.
Can't bring the dead back.
Что теперь?
I'll call the station when we're finished with the day and let them know the name of the deceased.
А что насчет Билли и детишек?
They'll manage.
They have to. It's not your place to live their lives.
И все?
That's it. We should get back to our case now that our duty here is done.
Хорошо, значит дело закрыто.
Let's go.
Ох ты, блин. Ох, сильно они прописали этот момент. Прям... Да, ну ладно. Идем, короче, тогда теперь по другим делам. Сейчас идем к Эврору. А, вот здесь, кстати, точка. Ты слышу журчание воды. Кто-то моет посуду.
The door is closed again. Nothing to do here anymore. You hear someone inside, walking from room to room. Whoever lives here must be back home.
Понятно, что это, блин, этот Герри. Мы уже говорили об этом. Так, ну что там по времени? Еще где-то час нету, нормально. Вообще зашибись. Так, а кто-то что-то писал? Нет, никто ничего не писал. Погнали. Так, а вот журчание этих воды, оно меня перебивает? Вроде нормально. Так, надо идти к Эврору. А, подожди, надо сообщить сейчас про дело.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio mic.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Лиса, соедини. Лиса, соедини с
Just a
Орпедом.
10-4, come in, officer. Over.
Так, передача завершена, ожидаю.
Roger that. 10-10, over and out.
Так, ничего сообщать мы не будем. Так, сейчас, секунду. я здесь. Подумаем. Кстати, в Стоме что-то есть новое?
Make way for the master poet. It's like
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
anything
спасибо.
else. Us lorry, not my thing.
He tries his best to
Не хочу я устраивать забастовку. Так, расист что-то новое появилось.
Looking for something?
Блин, ковра, подожди, а ты? Источник.
right to
What are wondering, man?
Главный наемник под прикрытием. Ну да, когда ты находишься на виду, тебе хуже всего видно, да? Если я правильно, я не так выразился, но суть, наверное, понятна. Таким что с собой? С этим контейнером еще надо что-то сделать. Надо риторику прокачать.
You're back before the cargo container.
Уже 42.
Its draw has not lessened since you were last here.
Непредсказуемые,
If
но
anything, it
обстоятельные.
seems to have grown slightly.
Прожил в этом мире много дней. 2 дня, так в мире нет никаких гарантий. Набор 20-граммных костей сирена. Так, ну тут только если... Сейчас у меня на риторику вряд ли что-то есть, какая-то одежда. Но только на минус. О, риторика. Есть все-таки риторика одна. Да, одна единственная риторика
You're
есть.
back before the cargo container. Despite the dirt that surrounds and trails you, a beacon of light emerges from deep within you.
Серьезно? Эй, есть там
The
кто-нибудь?
door stands silent.
Видимо, ничего.
Satisfied, detective?
Лейтенант прибегает на смешливую улыбку.
Try again.
Если там кто-нибудь есть, давайте поговорим.
Just like that, you hear a click, then a rattle. Some mechanism unlocks itself inside the door.
Что? Супербогатый светоискривляющий тип из глубины контейнера раздается голос. Чё? Искривляющий
You
тип?
can't be serious.
Что? Супербогатый светоискривляющий тип. Так, ну-ка давай поговорим. Что это? Это... Так.
The man stands at the far end of the shipping container. It's hard to say
Чё у меня с
anything more
деньгами?
about him. You cannot make out any of his details, but you do feel the overwhelming presence of
Всепоглощающий
capital.
присутствие капитала.
The feeling causes all the hairs on your body to stand at attention, like soldiers preparing for review.
Еще ведь...
Something's amiss. The light beams
Охренеть
bend
у меня с
around
деньгами.
his face and scatter in 1,000 directions.
Что он...
It seems the laws of physics do not apply here. They are suspended, distorted, and echo.
Серьезно? Что это такое?
Trying to visualize the physics at play is liable to give you an aneurysm. Don't think about it too hard. In the general stillness, only your tongue moves, flickering as you utter.
Привет.
Welcome. Come in. Make yourself at home. Sorry, I'm not better able to receive you. I wasn't expecting visitors today.
Он русским акцентом
You
говорит.
can't hear him exactly, yet you're able to understand every word he says. It is very strange. An overwhelming hum covers everything. Voice doesn't escape from him.
Now, what can I do for you, gentlemen?
Та часть его тела, которую ты способен различать, выглядит собранной. одетый в шикарный летний костюм и обутый в туфли для яхты. Ты кто?
Who am I? Oh, I haven't been asked that question for such a long time. I don't meet a lot of people outside my circle these days. Anyhow, my name is Rustam Diodore, investor, license holder, and extremely high net worth individual. And you are?
Блин, Рустам Диодор.
Mr. Diodore, I am Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi of the RCM, and this is my partner.
Гарри Дюбуа.
Pleasure to meet you, Harrier Dubois. I must admit, the name suits you very well.
Ты так, как ты стал таким богатым?
Oh lord, not this again.
В чем дело, Ким?
Oh, nothing. It's just that we've got this murder to solve, and yet you go around asking everyone about money. And every time I ask, are you sure this is related to the case, you say, sure, Kim, I think it is. And yet, it never seems to get us any closer to solving the case.
It's quite alright. I'm used to the question by now. To be blunt, I inherited my fortune from my grandmother, who herself was an extremely high net worth individual back in Graz. All I did was take her fortune and invest it prudently. Believe it or not, it takes more than a bit of skill not to blow a vast fortune on sailing boats, bad choices, and unsupervised state policy.
Что с тобой не так,
Actually,
чувак?
at the level
Что
this
такое
guy
искривляющий?
is, it takes several generations to do that. But, alright.
И каково это быть чрезвычайно высокообеспеченным лицом?
I gotta tell you, at first, being rich is a lot of work. You've got to work hard because everything's so darn expensive. You know, prices increase exponentially at this income level. But then, once you've reached my position, it's nearly impossible for me not to make money. My assets are so diversified that I'm bound to come out ahead no matter what. Some of my lower net worth friends say to me, but doesn't that take all the fun out of it? And I tell them, not really.
Ты прав, накопление капитала, само собой, награда. Тебе не приходило в голову использовать свое состояние на благо Отечества? Просто вор, люди работают на износ, пока ты тут прохлаждаешься. Здорово, что у тебя все так хорошо, но тебе не кажется, что часть твоего состояния причитается обществу? Клево, но я не могу подобрать интересный ответ. Да, вот это на благо Отечества.
Which one? Revachol, where I nominally reside, or Gra, where my father immigrated from, or Ildekashebro, where I've registered my shell companies?
В этом случае, вероятно, Града. Или Ильде... Града, наверное.
Listen, Mr. Dubois, if capital and nationalism went hand in hand, there'd be no need to ask the question. States are akin to boulders in a river, slowing the free flow of ideas. Given enough time, the water will wear those boulders down.
Промолчать.
Capital makes one speechless, does it not? Blinds like the sun that rises from beyond the horizon after a gloomy winter.
Hey, all this talk about money has made you lose the thread. What is going on with the light in this place?
Тебе что-то странное. Его субстанция, кажется, выражает искреннее удивление. Ну, не знаю даже, как сказать, ты выглядишь как-то немного не так.
Are you talking about my chin?
Не-не-не, не хочу, это я даже не вижу тебя, как будто что происходит со светом.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes, I've heard of this effect, though I've never witnessed it myself, of course. It has something to do with our Weiss-Wiesemann coefficient.
The Weiss-Wiesemann coefficient is a ratio designed to reflect the difference in net worth between individuals. When the coefficient is close to 1, or 100%, it means one person possesses all the net worth. Among that group of individuals, it's been observed that when the Weiss-Wiesemann coefficient reaches about 0.96 or so, the laws of physics begin to bend around the high net worth
И какой у нас
individual.
коэффициент?
The Weiss-Weisman coefficient for you and this individual appears to be 0.9998, repeating. That's not good for you.
Хочешь сказать, что ты настолько богат, что свет вокруг тебя изгибается?
Among other things, but calm down. I'm but a lowly single-digit billionaire.
Ты не больше 10. Правда?
No, not really. There are actually quite many digits.
A man this chill is at least a triple-digit billionaire.
Ким, ты видишь ту сторону
I
Кореи?
see nothing of the sort. To be frank, all I see is a gentleman who's unusually well dressed for Martinez, in a cargo container, which I admit is odd.
Yes, I imagine that does look strange to you. My container.
Что ты делаешь в том контейнере?
Traveling. This is a great way to get around. It's fun, it's safe, and it gives me lots of time to think. By the way, let me now ask you a question. Where are we exactly?
В Мартинезе, в районе города Ревашоля, бывшей столицы мира. В Мартинезе здесь есть отличная гостиница, называется Танцтрепье. В Мартинезе здесь есть клевая церковь. В Мартинезе здесь жуткая заброшенная торговая зона. Честно говоря, не знаю. Давай прорекламируем.
Oh, interesting. I've made quite a few real estate places over the years. It's a shame I can't get out and explore myself. One of the downsides of being an extremely high net worth individual is that mobs of low net worth individuals are constantly banding together to ask for money.
Погоди, а почему ты им не поможешь? У тебя же столько денег, ты наверняка даже не заметишь. Значит, ты путешествуешь по миру в грузовом контейнере. Короче, понятно. Если он это сделает, то его... Видите, как они... Накопления могут обесцениться, как золотом было. И как с биржи было.
There simply aren't enough hours a day to hand out all the handouts. It's like feeding seagulls. There are always more, and they never seem to do anything interesting with it, except more seagulls. Spending money is a matter of desire. I'm sure you agree. I don't have the desire for spending it like that.
Значит, ты путешествуешь по миру в грузовом контейнере?
Smart, no? It also provides a means to hide from all the targeted advertising we extremely high net worth individuals are constantly subjected to. Luxury yachts, high fidelity portable radio systems, bail-proof outerwear, and so on. It just gets a bit middle class after a while. A bit bourgeois.
А, то есть ты хочешь сказать, что быть богатым слишком хлопотно?
What? No, I did not say that at all. Being rich is great. Just don't tell anyone I told you that.
Зеленый свет, кажется, подмигнул тебе отлично. Ты богатый инвестор, верно? Можешь дать мне денег.
Could you please stop asking everyone for money? It does not reflect well on the RCM, and to be perfectly frank, we can't afford to look worse than we already do.
Ты прав, так не
It's
профессионально.
perfectly alright. Based on your appearance, I can tell I'm dealing with a civilized man. As you may know, us high net worth individuals do not have a lot of cash on hand. Investments and liquidity are enemies of one another. I think I only have coins for coffee machines. Here is 3 real. How much can you get for this?
Спасибо за вашу доброту.
You're welcome. You know,
Из него является более активным.
maybe you can make that money grow. Come up with an investment plan. How's that sound?
These ultra-liberal types love losing huge sums of money on ludicrous proposals. Ergo, you should come up with a plan that's totally dead in the water.
Чё? Немыслимо предложить... Так, сейчас, секунду. Гуманитарное образование бесполезно. Подожди, а здесь вообще можно концептуализации про этот? Давай я одну вкину, просто концептуализацию посмотрим. 17%. Немысленно предложить план инвестиций, который обречен на провал, и вложить в надежный план инвестиций. Ну давай попробуем. Давай 12 попробуем.
Deploying high concept buzzword generator. All systems functional. Ready to engage in 3, 2, 1. It's time to disrupt the future. You've got to stay lean, innovative, and focus on what matters most. The children. Steal the union boss's idea, add a twist, and present it as your own. Very capitalistic.
Тебе следует вложить средства в молодежный центр.
A youth center, huh? What kind of youth center?
A place to teach them practical skills like teamwork and self-discipline. Come on, tell him what he wants to hear.
Там детям в низкообеспеченных семей будут прививать либеральные экономические ценности. В этом центре будут воспитывать лидеров завтрашнего дня для государственной службы. Но обычно молодежный центр с баскетбольными площадками и всем прочим, где можно научиться командной работе и прочим национальным навыкам.
No. You've got to think
Сейчас,
bigger
секунду.
than that. Brilliant. Without children, who'll be there to buy stuff in the future?
Да, если не выгорит, сори. Извиняюсь. Так, да, если не выгорит, мы в любой момент можем переделать все в торговый центр или в частную инвестиционную фирму.
When life closes a door, it opens a window, yes? What's the expected return on this?
Там, где люди, всегда есть риск, поэтому мы будем держаться за сам центр как резерв. К вашим услугам всегда будет высокообразованный и готовый к работе человеческий капитал.
You're deep into ultra-liberal territory now. Good work.
Very impressive. You've got a natural eye for unusual investment opportunities.
Спасибо.
I don't normally do this without a formal pitch deck, but to hell with it. What's the point of being rich if you have to follow all the rules? First round of seed funding. This should be enough to prove out the concept and get things off the ground.
Спасибо. Спасибо за вашу нерушимую веру в меня.
Remember, it's not a handout. It's an investment, and I expect to see returns.
The lieutenant stands there, dumbfounded. His mouth opens.
Я изначально как бы не особо хотел этой фигней страдать. Давай-ка лучше загрузимся, и я не буду концептуализировать. Вообще нет желания концептуализировать.
The man, the feeling causes all the hairs on the body to something trying in the gen. You can't.
No.
Так, ты кто?
Mr. Diodore.
Pleasure to meet you, Harrier Dubois.
Так, сейчас.
I must admit.
Oh Lord, not this again. Oh no, and yet.
Actually, at the level this guy is, it takes several generations to do that.
But then some of my lower net worth friends say to me, but doesn't that which one? The river listen states are akin to boulders in a river.
Hey, all this.
What do you mean? Are you talking about my chin? Oh.
The Weiss-Wieserman coefficient. The Weiss point. No, that's not.
Among other things. But calm down. I'm but a lowly no.
A man this.
I see nothing.
Yes. I imagined. By the way, let me now ask you a question. Oh, it's a shame I can't get out and explore myself. One of the downsides of being an extremely high net worth person, spending luxury yachts, high fidelity port. What? No, I did not say that at all. Being rich is.
Could you please stop at.
It's as you may dearest 3 real. How much can you get? You're well, baby.
These ultra-liberal types love losing huge sums of money.
Thanks for stopping.
Наверхе царит тишина, огромные машины спят, я это сказал, но я, по-моему, микрофон вырубил случайно. Бегим к этому, к бару.
Oh, hey, mister. No trouble at all, mister.
Думаю, что это бесполезно, потому что он будет уклоняться в любом случае.
So, the ship has sailed. Did you see it? I know you did. Tell me, what did it look like as it grew smaller and smaller? When that...
There's a mean little light in its eyes.
Did it look like a germ? Did it look like a piece of bacteria?
Это он сейчас от Джойс.
His tone is totally different now. The jolly man of the people is gone, and so is the smile. Oh my God, you've been played.
Вы хотели, чтобы я передал ей сообщение?
That this is a takeover? That I want a war? God, I hope you also told her about the drug trade. They absolutely hate getting their hands dirty with that. You can kill 1 million people, but if you do something the police doesn't like, well, then you're out of the yacht club. Goodbye, you inhuman fuck.
Откуда вы знаете, что она уехала? Не могу поверить, что вы заставили меня это провернуть. Спасибо, что дали мне возможность принять в этом участие. Так.
Harry, I bugged her
Что
carriage.
бывает?
I bugged her whole boat. I had cameras surveying her boat. Hell, I even wanted to bug that thermal cap, but my boys advised against it.
They must have done it while Joyce was busy questioning the locals.
Так вы послушали все наши разговоры?
Not me personally. I had guys recording and processing this information for me.
Парни Харди?
Hell no! They'd fuck it up. They can't do anything right. I mean my real boys. My special task force boys.
Where are these boys?
They sure as hell aren't hanging out in the open with beers in their hands for the cops to question. They're pros, Mr. Kitsuragi.
Я понимаю, почему были
No, no, Harry. What we have is real. We're working men. This here is real.
Так, это был ваш план с самого начала.
Harry, I can't see into the future. We are all playing by ear on this planet. I had no idea she'd react so strongly.
Но информацию-то через меня передать вы хотели.
I did. I knew the negotiations would go better with police officers telling her horror stories from inside the harbour. It's scarier this way. Turns out it was a magnificent strategy. I never thought it'd so fundamentally fuck her up. Harry, you made a conscious decision to relay that information to her. You could have kept it for yourself.
Вы использовали так мой воздействие интеллект против меня. Она рассказала мне прекрасную историю об открытии Электрогелии. Сказала, что безумно. Вы использовали мой любопытный характер.
Against you? Oh, Harry, I'd like to think I used it for you.
It was interesting. No arguing against that.
Of course she did. Rich people have the best stories about all the interesting things they've done and seen, all the beautiful places they've been to. It's just sentimentalism. She can afford to be sentimental, and she can afford to lose as well. She's not insane. What did she tell you? Heh, she's a sentimental alcoholic. They all are, Harry. Never take a drop and you'll be 8 laps ahead of the upper-class winos, just like old Mr. Clare here. Try it. You'll be a real super detective. I can see that, Harry. Alcohol has left its marks, but you're doing better than when I first saw you. Rich man is shitting himself. The working class sober. What was always going to happen? We take the harbour and she fucks off to Ozon, uncorks a bottle of wine, calls her partners, and says they need to distance themselves from this nasty business before the big shit spinner splashes everyone. Only difference is the Union doesn't have to lose 2,000 men to machine gun fire.
Угу. Так, какой из этих вариантов? Так, четвертый вариант туда.
That it will, Harry. That it will. As to the bad taste, please, you're not a sommelier, you're a cop. You knew something, something big, and you wanted to see what happens when you tell someone. So you told her. Anyone who's ever been close to power will tell you, inside information is the sweetest thing in the world. It's better than money, it's better than pussy. Money only makes you special for some salesmen. Pussy only makes you special for yourself. Information makes you special for all mankind. It's the ticket to history.
Так. Лучше, чем деньги, лучше, чем бабы. Деньги возносите одним сам торгашей. Бабу возносит тебя только в собственных глазах, а информация возносит тебя в глазах рода людского. Если посмотреть с этой стороны, то ваши слова не лишены смысла.
Damn right it does, Harry. What you did was participate in history. When history calls, you have to pick up. You had no choice. None of us ever do. A hard disco cop like you, I knew you weren't one to resist temptation.
You know what, detective? I am going to leave this out of my report, and I suggest you leave it out of yours too.
Just look at the three of us. The three careless boyaderos. Good times, good times.
И что теперь? Так.
Okay. Hell yes it is.
Что теперь?
Now there's a whole lot of work to do. For me and for you. I suppose there was a reason you came here, so let's get to it. What can I help my best friend and comrade with today?
Понятно. Ну, я так и думал, что он изначально этот план устраивал. Ему все рассказали. Но про прослушку-то, конечно, он да. Помните, я спрашивал про контейнер? Оказывается, там сидел супербогатый светоискривляющий тип.
Mega rich light-bending guy? Oh my god. How did that get in there?
Он настолько богат, что может попасть куда угодно. Такой слизкий тип, как он, наверное, в щель просочился. Должно быть, кто-то случайно захлопнул дверь, когда он находился в контейнере. Я не знаю, как он туда попал.
Damn it to hell, Harry. I specifically told my guys to check all the containers for mega-rich light-bending guys.
Ха. Человек с изобретательным мышлением ничто не остановит. Мне кажется, он хочет уничтожить пролетариат. Ким, подтверди, что он там был. Знаете, может, он частично был плодом моего воображения. Человек с
Honestly, Harry, we might be moving a spot of drugs through this harbor, but I won't be caught transporting the light-bending mega-rich. I have a reputation to protect.
Что, блин? Вот именно, просто прости, прости господи, вы же социалист. Богатые тоже люди, они довольно приятны. Он был довольно приятным парнем. Поделился со мной секретами игры на бирже. Да, перевозка богатых должна контролироваться более тщательно. В этом случае меры безопасности, кажется, не особо соблюдались. Вы должны быть благодарны, что этот чародей почтил вас своим присутствием. По крови он наполовину ревашолец и на свое состояние и нажил свое состояние при помощи загадочной национальной акции.
Harry, it's beginning to dawn on me that you're a real fascist. A mega-fascist who imagines mega-rich light-bending fascists. I love it. Thank you for sharing this facet of yourself with me.
Какой фашист?
I shudder to think what you're going to...
Здесь что? Фига я фашист на девятку.
Not for 1 second did he believe there's an actual mega-rich person somewhere in his container town.
Давай сейчас выйдем, засейвимся и поговорим с ним. Так, если взяла цель...
That doesn't ring any bells, Harry.
Funny. She was trying to set up a narcotics operation in the old church on the coast.
Oh, that a cell. Yes, I do seem to remember sending a pretty young thing down there to liven up the place. Get some melodic music in there.
А еще приказал организовать лабораторию по производству амфетаминов.
Amphetamine lab? That sounds very immoral and debauched. Frankly, a health risk. But what do I know about kids these days? The music they listen to, the drugs they do while they listen to that music?
It sounds to me like you are trying to start an amphetamine lab in the district. And you're using some delinquents you found, God knows where, to set it up and run it for you.
Found God knows where? That a cell is the daughter of Miko the kebab. A man who once killed a guy with a kebab. I think a daughter of a man who killed a man with a kebab can handle running a little nightclub, don't you?
Мика Кебаб, серьезно?
Maybe it was Bogovir. Or Jakub. I think it might have been Conrad.
Он устремляет взгляд вдаль, будто пытается что-то припомнить. Как бы то ни было, я пересек производство амфетаминов, но ставил им ночной клуб. Да, промолчать.
I got it, Harry. It was Radogost. Radogost the kebab. But enough of koikos and kebabs. What else can I do for you?
Нафиг нам говорить, пусть он думает, что там все-таки
Mr.
лаборатория.
Every worker,
Смотрите,
member of the... My. She's quite the looker, Harry. You can't imagine how pleased I am the two of you are reunited. Tell me, was it difficult to convince the pigs to give it up?
Главное, что не удалось
I
ему
guess you're right, Harry. I appreciate you coming back to report on your progress. Now, what...
Ясно. Гребаная безворотливая змея. И, кстати, здесь было сказано про... Это что, удочка? Я думаю, там у него хлыст стоит. Кто-то кого-то бьет. Короче, он тот еще любитель. Это необычно. Так, окей. С этим мы разобрались. Что я делаю? Так, теперь нужно перебежать в другую сторону. И там поговорить с чуваком, который responsability, и другими товарищами. Возьмите себе responsability, найдите сралистского фазмита. Предложитель Долорес. Окей. Погнали. Игра. Что? Понятно. Пойди, там еще жизнь как-то сделать, пробежать. Жалко, что Томми не может дать нам ключ. Было бы очень хорошо. Я сейчас просто бегу без телепортации, потому что нам нужно спуститься в канал. Кстати, подожди, а нам что-то говорили? По-моему, что надо было с лампарчиком поговорить. Или это уже...
Hello. Let me know if I can...
ну нет. Это... Ой. С лампарчиком надо было поговорить, когда... Надо было пилку намотать. Это с того момента у меня еще воспоминания, блин. Так, вот здесь где-то ловушка, да, вот она. Далее.
The trap stands empty amongst the reeds. No insect sounds or movement around. Only the reeds' melancholy rustling.
Вот она.
Fantastic.
Запустить саранчу пустую
The
ловушку.
locusts, dazed from being transported, slowly begin to acclimate to their new surroundings. They're not really going to get the chance to get comfortable here.
Good. Now that's done. When do you think we will return to our impending apocalypse of a murder investigation? Don't answer that. It was a rhetorical question.
He doesn't want to. But if there is one more cryptozoological runaround, he must force the investigation back on track. This better be it.
Окей, так, по заданию найдите фазмида. Вы положили приманку в ловушку, теперь отправляйте станции, сообщите об этом Лене. Мне кажется, тут будет лучше телепортироваться через деревню. Этот дурак, который тут так, вон там. Они уже здесь... Да, они уже здесь отдыхают. С вами о чем-то поговорить можно? И, кстати, Лилиан, расскажи, пожалуйста, где этот друг наш?
The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
Why does she care about the waves so much?
Что это за отношения с волнами?
What is it with waves and fishermen? We need to be out there with them, fishing, making a living. So I asked them to accommodate me. But until that happens, I can try to assist you the best I can.
На самом деле я ищу кое-кого.
Who?
Ясно.
Well, how
Никого
can I...
нельзя. Нельзя у нее узнать. Ну, я уже знаю, где он. Я вне кадра побегал. Куда я бегу? Вот там кто-то был. Вне кадра побегал, просто посмотрел, где что находится, и нашел его на карте. Стоящего в одном месте. Ну, сейчас к нему пойдем. Как только разберемся с фазмидами. Где она?
Hello, dear.
Я положил приманку пустую
Good to see a
ловушку.
familiar. Thank you for doing that, dear.
Но через силу
Her smile is wary. Earlier, the bullions has left her.
Morel still isn't feeling well. I convinced him to stay at Gary's to get some rest. I'm afraid the cold has really gotten to him.
Остались только хардкорщики. Оно к лучшему. Там в тростнике чертовски холодно. Он сдается, а я продолжаю бегать. Нет, давай второй.
I'm sorry, dear. You've had to drudge through them so many times. Such is field work. A young person's game, as they say.
Ай, да.
Her voice is shaky. What is going on here?
Но кто тогда будет проверять ловушки?
Morel will eventually, or we'll talk Gary into going back out, perhaps.
The lieutenant stares at his shoe, caked in mud. He doesn't say anything.
Что-то мне подсказывает, что снова я. Мы этим займемся.
That really is too much, sweetie. Thank you for your dedication, but I can see you're coming down with a cough yourself.
Very strange. Why is she not letting you do this? It's like she's given up.
Что случилось? Сегодня странно.
Different? How?
Answering a question with a question, for example. Defensive isn't her usual style.
Вы ведь ведете себя, как будто я на вас нападаю. Вы потеряли надежду найти фазмита, вы что-то скрываете? Так будто я на вас нападаю.
I'm in doubt, sweetie. That's all.
Сомневаетесь в чем?
It's a strange feeling. I haven't really told this to anyone, but you are a police officer.
And when a police officer asks, you must answer.
Do you ever wonder if some lovely story from your childhood is just that? A story? Or a dream?
Hunching her shoulders now. She seems even smaller than she is. Like a sad young girl.
Seeing the Insulindian phasmid was just a story I used to tell people. I didn't really think about whether it was real or not.
Морел сказал, вы видели его. Вы сами сказали.
Morel's so proud of it. He always tells everyone.
A terrible sting in the heart. Regret.
Но вы, кажется, и правда верите, что видели фазмида. Разве ничего не значит? То есть вы его не видели? Мне арестовать вас за лжесвидетельство? То есть вы его выдумали?
No, at least I don't think I did, but Morel was so eager to believe my story was evidence of the phasmid's existence, that I'm some queen of the cryptozoologists. That, and for years his belief made me believe too.
That I am a queen? An extraordinary witness to grace.
But now, we're both getting old, and he's still working himself sick out in those reeds looking for it. But what if I was just wrong? I think I was.
The lieutenant opens his notebook, but doesn't write anything.
Для начала скажи, что я брак не фальшивка.
An acorn is not the same as the tree. That requires time, diligence, and care. All qualities these two seem to share.
Ошиблись вы или нет, а только ваши отношения с Мореллом не про Фазмида.
But it is. We've spent years searching for the Phasmid, hunting it together. Without it, what are we? Just another pathetic old couple.
Про это и думал.
If I hadn't led him down this path, he could have a steady job lecturing at a university.
You know, this reminds you of the Pericarnassian theory of love. In essence, love is a relay out of death. Generation by generation, our love remains in our progeny.
Знаете,
lay some of that on her.
Перикаранцы утверждали, что ключ к бессмертию в любви. Морелл ненавидел предательскую работу. Вы убедили его заняться чем-то настоящим. Обычно, думая о бабах и о браке, я чувствую себя отвратительно, но когда думаю про вас с Мореллом, все нормально. Это тоже чего-то стоит, нет? Первое.
Oh, sweetie. I don't think the Pericarnassians were thinking of people in my situation. I was a paraplegic before we met. He didn't know before I arrived. On our first date. If I weren't the queen of the cryptozoologists, if I didn't tell him that story...
She has to swallow to relax her throat. It's keeping her from talking.
Он бы все равно у вас влюбился, это не так работает.
Maybe. But then why do I not dare tell him? I've wasted enough of your time with this drama. I really must stop talking about it lest I start crying and waste more of your time. What you have to know is the Insulindian Phasmid probably does not exist. Let us fools chase our ghosts. There are a million better things to do with your life.
Are there? Some of the other things are pretty bad.
Но вы ведь не можете быть уверены в том, что вы выдумали его. Допустим, это лучше ложное воспоминание. Это же не значит, что не существует никаких криптидов, просто ловите другого. Но во всем правы, мне пора возвращаться к работе. Но вы не можете быть уверены в том, что вы выдумали его.
I'm not sure of anything. Sometimes I still see it, you know. The real memory. Not the memory of the memory, but it's so hard to tell the two apart. Either way, I should go. Poor Morel is running a fever and I need to get him home to Jamrock before we overstay our welcome with Gary.
Вам не нужно помочь добраться до Гэри?
Oh no, thank you, but I can get there on my own. This old thing is gas-powered. And then a taxi home. It's not so bad.
Давайте я в последний раз проверю ловушки.
Really?
Oh, sweetie. Please don't get stuck on a dream. Take it from me and Morel.
Можно ваш адрес? Вдруг все-таки будут вести.
Okay. It's 1113 Tabernacle Road. Jamrock, but...
A sigh. She doesn't think you'll need it.
Берегите себя, Лена. Всего доброго. Так, дальше. Мрачноват этот мир, спасибо, что привнесли в него немного света. Давай, что?
You're welcome, sweetie. I'm glad it helped you, even though it turned out to be a...
Фраза обрывается.
A waste of time. A lie. A fool's hope. Say her lips moving in silence. Like that, she drives off. The gas engine sputters quietly as she gets to the doors, then pushes them open. Outside, the cold coastal wind blows.
We should go to...
Somewhere out there, a kilometer to the southeast, a gust of wind shakes the felled building, rattling dusty windows, beckoning with strange coldness, to ask the wind once more.
Кстати, то, что я видел по... Просто наткнулся на... на Reddit картинку вырезанного контента. И там была анимация, где главный герой тащит коляску с Леной. В принципе, это относилось к этому моменту. Ну, нам теперь только responsability идти делать. Вот сюда, и нам нужно идти на место церкви. Так. Наш друган... Давай, игра, сама меня туда отведи. О, подожди, а вот это я, кстати, пропустил. Это кто? Давай сначала разберемся с responsability, потому что я на картинку поставил. Потом уже буду говорить с тем товарищем. Тихо, можно посмотреть.
The trap is filled with dead, poor things.
Ну все, с возьмитами тут ничего. Здравствуйте.
As you approach, the man turns and greets you with a polite wave. He appears completely at ease, like a common holidaymaker.
Ah, super. It's the officer. I was not expecting to run into you again, but things have a funny way of turning out, no? What brings you down to the scenic Martinez coast?
Вообще-то я... Так. Что вас привело на живописный Мартинский берег? Вообще-то я хотел спросить вам, чем вы занимаетесь? Мне нужна ваша помощь. Я хочу основать комиссию и вас заложить для responsibility. Давай, чем занимаетесь?
Well, that's très simple. I was visiting the fishing village just north of here. They have applied for a series of microloans to revitalize the old market. And well, I wish to see the situation firsthand. And then, well, I had some extra time on my hands, so I decided to stroll down here. It's quite peaceful, isn't it?
Но вы же знаете, вон там был массовый расстрел. Вы видели след пуль вон на той стене? Массовый расстрел.
Really? Here? How can you be sure?
У меня есть что-то вроде дара, я умею реконструировать события прошлого. Передовой детективный навык.
Ah, a very useful gift for a police detective, I'm sure. Fascinating how much history is contained right here. If only one knows where to look for it.
Are you just going to let him get away with these generalities and euphemisms?
Вообще меня в этом больше всего смущает урон, нанесенный зданию. Вы правы, тут все так сложно и захватывающе, что я не могу хоть сколько критически об этом мыслить.
Well said. Let us just be grateful that we don't live in such fascinating times.
В общем, я хотел бы спросить кое-чем другом.
I'm all ears, officer.
Вот это.
My friend, if it's la responsabilité you're after, I have good news for you. There's no need to form such a committee, because it already exists.
Good. Of course it does. These moral intern type.
The Comité de responsabilité de Revachol. It acts as a sort of clearinghouse for coalition activities. To put it simply, they are the ultimate arbiters of la responsabilité in this part of the world.
Yes, This is just the sort of reasonable authority you're looking for.
I would offer to connect you with the committee myself, but alas, I am not actually in Martinez.
What? Where is he then? He's speaking figuratively. He means he's not in Martinez in his official capacity.
Понял, вы здесь по личному делу.
Précisément. Officially, I am still in La Delta, preparing for an upcoming conference on fuel oil derivatives. That's why it would be extremely irregular, or potentially even inappropriate for me to intercede with the committee concerning a district I'm not officially in.
Но дело срочное, мне нужно связаться с комитетом. Ну и как мне тогда связаться с комитетом?
Well, under ordinary circumstances, the committee contacts you.
In other words, the committee only knows what it wants to know.
But if you have information of a vital interest, they might be willing to entertain an exception. In which case, I would advise you to contact them via Coalition Warship Archer.
Почему для разговора комиссии мне надо связываться со стрельцом?
You see, in addition to being an airborne artillery platform, Coalition Warship Archer is also the linchpin of the Coalition's surveillance and communications infrastructure in Revachol.
Погоди, за нами еще наблюдают?
And listening. It has the most objective vantage point in the entire city.
Нормально.
Not to mention a vast array of radio, photographic, and meteorological monitoring instruments.
Зашибись.
I find it a great comfort to know there are benevolent powers watching over all, in strict accordance with the Wayfarer Act and the Bristol-Mühne Convention.
И как связаться с боевым кораблем коалиции?
This is quite the problem. Very tricky. Of course, the Archer has orders to fire on any unidentified aerostatics that might approach it, so it might be safer to get in touch from the ground. But in that case, you would require a radio transmitter capable of broadcasting on coalition frequency.
Передатчик.
And that kind of technology naturally isn't typically available for non-coalition use.
Это надо в салоне идти.
It is a bit of a conundrum.
Передатчик.
I suppose there might be some way to circuit bend your way onto those frequencies, but you'd have to be one of those techno tinkerers.
Знаете таких?
Unfortunately not, no. I don't have the pleasure. I am merely a representative of the coalition government, not very well versed in technology. But you...
Sounds like something that programmer we met in the church might be able to help with.
Да.
Let me just say that I have complete confidence in the RCM. I'm sure you'll figure something out.
Благодарю за
Always
беседу.
my pleasure to be of assistance to the RCM. Godspeed, and if we don't meet again, bonne chance.
Прикольно. Короче, понятно. Понятно, зачем он здесь находится, во-первых. А во-вторых, прикольно, что мы сейчас будем с салоной это дело двигать. Но вот про то, почему этот мужик здесь, тут вообще гадать даже не надо. Поехал к своему дружку. Ну, воскресный друг, короче. Как церковь. Ой, идем. А, кстати, я сейчас в рубашке пола до сих пор. Я хочу в рубашке пола видеть. Здрасте.
Yes, what is it?
Есть одна... Так, вообще-то я приглашаю. Вообще-то приглашаю. Правда, она неоплачиваемая. А, да, что вы хотели? Она не открывает взгляд от клавиатуры. Вообще-то приглашаю. Правда, она неоплачиваемая. До этого фраза была, да, это относится к той фразе, где она говорит, если вы, конечно, не предлагаете мне работу. Но связаться со стрельцом и кораблем. Есть загадка, которую пытаюсь разгадать. Постороннее сообщение в домофоне проклятой зоны. Давай.
The creepy woman! We were wondering about that when we worked there, but I had completely forgotten about it ever since. It must be anthroponetic crosstalk, the one you get in radios and long-distance calls. Now it makes sense, with the pay right on the doorstep.
Incredible. This would also explain why we get it on the police radio all the time.
Антропонетические перекрестные помехи.
It's quite common, actually. When the signal gets routed through Pale, all kinds of irregularities take place. You may hear snippets of someone else's conversation, or the voice of your former lover, or an echo of an event that took place 100 years ago. Pale is a shroud of memories, and it doesn't really distinguish to whom those memories belong to. You could hear anything.
Понятно, спасибо, что объяснили. Так, вообще-то приглашаю, давай.
You're asking me to circuit bend onto coalition radio frequencies. You want to know, is it possible? Probably. But is it a good idea? I'm not so sure. The main difficulty will be finding an antenna powerful enough to reach those frequencies. Unfortunately, you can't exactly buy mega long-wave antennas off the shelf.
She's not joking. Even the RCM has to receive special approval from the coalition to access that kind of equipment.
Радиовышка на краю земли и такое под силу?
I highly doubt it. That tower is barely able to transmit shortwave signals across the bay. To generate megalow frequencies, we're going to need a much larger antenna.
She has an idea, though. You can see the tiny signal lights fire.
I don't see any alternative. We're just going to have to build the antenna ourselves.
Почему просто не использовать нашу R1? Хотите, мы можем просто соорудить антенну? Это слишком сложно, нельзя просто достать ее где-нибудь. Вот это понимаю, что нужно делать? А почему не использовать?
Because it's a completely different class of antenna. It would be like using a high-end racing carriage where a long-distance lorry is required.
Okay.
We need metal, a lot of it. The taller the structure, the better. Something that is both prominent and easily accessible. If it's near a power source, even better.
Попробуем.
That's easy. Antennas are basically just two things.
No, we could not. This church is made for wood.
Концептуализация нужна.
I'm not sure you understand how radios work.
Ира, дай мне поговорить с ней.
Yes, what is it?
Close your eyes. Unfold your mental map of Martinez. It's morning. You're standing on the plaza before the whirling in rags.
Повернуться лицом к заливу, к жилым докам, к перекрестку. К перекрестку.
You turn around. The morning sun is blinding. You bring your hand to your brow, and a great shadow materializes before you.
Филиппа III.
A towering beast, frozen in mid-air.
The dead king and his horse. It could work.
О, прикольно. Это, кстати, вот оно. Короче, при загрузке игры, там на загрузочном экране нарисована статуя с конем, и там на верхушке коня стоит наш герой.
We'll need an adequate power supply and a great quantity of cable. If we connect the cables to some of the stranded lorries, we could theoretically increase the antenna's wavelength exponentially.
Whatever ambivalence she had about your project before, she's now fully engaged in solving this technical puzzle.
Дайте подумать.
It's completely ridiculous, but I believe we could transform the entire roundabout into one solid fractal antenna.
A note of awe in her voice. She's shocked and pleased by her own audacity.
Это точно законно? У меня такое чувство, что придется приносить извинения. Нет, главное, чтобы эта антенна работала. Детали меня
Very well.
интересуют.
I will get straight to the point then.
Похоже, ей нравится твой практический
I
подход.
have plenty of cables and amplifiers on hand. The power supply I will secure on my own. All we require now is the
где мне
radio
найти?
transceiver itself. I cannot answer that for you, but I don't expect it to be that difficult. There's no shortage of radios around here. If you have real to spare, you might even be able to buy one. But it doesn't really matter where it comes from, so long as it works.
And before you ask, no, you can't have the radio from my
Такие, знаешь, такими я и получше радио найти могу. Может, просто воспользуемся вашим RAM Perfect? А в радиокомпьютерах есть передатчики? Кажется, я видел радио в офисе рядом с портом. А в радиокомпьютерах есть передатчики?
Certainly, though it requires a fair amount of technical finesse to remove them. Frankly, it's not worth the bother. Just find a regular radio.
Может, просто воспользуемся вашим RAM
Absolutely
Perfect?
not. My RAIN prefect is my livelihood. If something were to go wrong, it would be a disaster.
Кажется, видел радио в офисе рядом с портом.
That sounds like a perfectly adequate radio.
Ладно, видимо, придется раздобыть радиопередатчик.
In the meantime, I will gather the rest of the materials. We will meet back here when you have it.
Прикольно. Так, окей, у нас задача сейчас идти в офис. Возьми на себя responsabilité. Найди функционирующий передатчик, перенестись в церковь. Предложение. Так, ну, окей, заданий уже не так много. Водка. Погнали. Летим теперь к нашему другу Эверу, самому лучшему Мартинезе, предпринимателю. Время в офис. Забыл, что здесь это лестница уже. Ее можно просто подняться.
A common office radio, like any of those found in countless waiting rooms, lounges, and other semi-public spaces all over the world.
Ким, как из него достать
There's
передатчик?
usually a little switch somewhere. Ah yes, it's the one that says release.
The lock disengages with a nice click. You may now safely remove the transceiver unit. There's nothing obviously remarkable about it. It's about the size of a common pasta box, with knobs of molded plastic. What else is there to say? If this transceiver were a person, it would be an accountant at a large logistics firm. Perfectly competent, but unexceptional.
Надежный и неприметный, как раз по мне. Прости, что стащил тебя передатчик, но иного пути нет. Полагаю, практичность тоже своего рода эстетика. Постучать по передатчику костяшками пальцев вполне подойдет. Давай.
I'm sure the transceiver understands, detective.
It's true. The transceiver appears quite forgiving.
Как думаешь, с этой штукой нам получится связка лиц?
You've surprised me more than once during the course of our investigation, but I have to say it still seems like a remote scenario.
With its transceiver gone, the radio has ceased its persistent buzzing. It is as silent as a headstone.
И погнали. Теперь нам нужно возвращаться обратно. Так, я здесь не буду мучиться и сразу нажму мышкой. Блин, вот этот вот лидер наемников, он по-любому будет в концовке играть свою роль. Будет устраивать бойню. Ну, я надеюсь, что мне никого убивать не придется. Так. Вижу на церковь.
Yes, what is it?
Нашел радиопередатчик.
Ah, very good. Let's see what you have.
Я нашел в офисе рядом с портом. Использовать вполне подходящий
Not
передатчик.
the most advanced model, but at least everything appears to be in order. Yes, this should serve our purposes.
No further comment necessary.
I believe that means we're ready to get started. I should warn you, once we begin setting up this antenna, we'll need to see the whole process through. There won't be any second chances, any do-overs. You understand? So if there's anything you'd like to get in order before we depart, I suggest you do it now.
Погодите, вы ведь говорили, что нам потребуется какой-нибудь источник энергии?
Ah, yes. I wasn't sure what to do about that, but then I discovered an abandoned power source down by the edge of the bay.
It's obvious. She's referring to your half-sunken Caprice 40.
Имеете в виду мотокарету, которую я утопил?
Oh, Yes, I did notice that it was covered in police livery. Then you already know that the carriage itself is irreparable, but the rear-mounted engine seems to be in fine working order. My intention is to run a power cable from the engine up to the antenna. It won't last forever, but it should give us enough time to establish a connection with Coalition warship Archer.
Какие дела именно нужно
That's up
завершить?
to you. At a minimum, I would make sure you are physically and mentally prepared for an intense and difficult process. Once we begin, there can be no interruptions.
At the very least, you should make sure you're wearing a good pair of gloves.
Radio engineers typically carry overpriced solvent sprays to clean the antenna connections. But in a pinch, some common ammonia works just fine. Finally, there's the question of stimulants. Some people prefer to keep illegal amphetamines on hand to help with their work. I'm not one of them, but they do exist.
Я стараюсь не злоупотреблять.
I don't take them because they make me nauseous. But everyone has their reasons. I don't judge. That's fine.
Так, давай
Return to me
подождем.
when you're...
Ну, это, видимо, как раз таки одна из концовок.
Yes, what is it? Very good. If you'll help me with some of this equipment then.
Back across the waterland. At least we are getting our exercise in today.
If you'll please carry that amplifier, officer. And if you'll take that spool of cable, we should be able to move it all in one trip.
Интересно, а как она сюда в церковь затащила своим компьютер? Кто помогал? И она по частям утащила. О. Прикольно. Нормально. Блин, переноска под дождем. А, ну тут, кстати, продумано, тут искрится.
And now if you'll just connect that here...
It's done. I believe we are ready.
We're ready to try at least. Please put on these headphones. There should be 2 extra sets. I've configured the channels so that only your microphone is set to broadcast, officer. We'll all be able to listen, but anyone we reach will only hear your voice. You will need to transmit your connection request while I attempt to locate the warship's public frequency. You will likely encounter some interference, but it's important to keep transmitting your request until you're acknowledged. Ready?
Погоди, а если меня вообще не услышат?
Then it will be exactly like every other moment of every other day. I ask again, are you ready?
Да.
Good. Beginning transmission. Go ahead, officer.
Корабль коалиция стрелец, говорит лейтенант Гарри Дебуа из РГМ, как слышно?
Is there anybody there?
Прикольный
The lieutenant looks up at you with a nervous glance. Nervous for who, though? You cannot say.
Try again, officer.
Корабль коалиции стрелец, говорит лейтенант Дюбуа, вы меня слышите?
Perhaps you're simply imagining it, but it seems as though you're learning to pull apart the fibers of this auditory felt. You focus on one strand in particular, one that sounds very nearly human.
Nein, Liebling, das lasse ich nicht zu. Wie kannst du unseren Jungen bloß auf einen dieser Dinger nach Bredefort schicken?
Чего? Алло, стрелец, меня слышно?
Marianne, mir erzählt, dass Oscar nicht mehr, seit er auf einem Luftschiff aus Graz zurückgekommen ist. Halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen normal. Aber sie hat das Gefühl, seit seiner Rückkehr mit einem Fremden zusammenzuleben.
You can't make out a word of this gibberish.
Салона снова энтропатическая перекрестные помехи.
Liebling, bitte. Er ist unser einziges Kind. er kann auch nächstes Jahr zur Akademie gehen.
It's very likely, based on what we've recently learned. Give me a moment while I attempt to narrow the receiving mode. In the meantime, you must keep trying.
Корабль, стрелец, говорите лейтенант Дюбуа. Стрелец, вы меня слышите? Прошу ответить.
Again?
Корабль, стрелец. Говорит лейтенант Дюбуа. Как слышно? Какие мне засорять частоту?
I didn't say anything, detective.
А, вот с прошлого.
Someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
An uncomfortable silence falls over the connection.
It's been a long winter. Long and cold.
Ну что, ты скажешь, что мне
I
это
promise you I
было?
didn't, even though it certainly sounds like me.
Что это снова энтропическая прекрасная
Yes.
комиссия?
A particularly eerie specimen, but still just a harmless piece of the past returning to surface.
Right. I just wish I could remember what I was talking about.
Natürlich halten ihn die Psychologen für vollkommen normal.
Ну что мне с этим делать?
What else is there to do? Keep trying.
Корабль коалиции, стрелец. Вас как слышно? Говорит лейтенант
Someone
Дюбуа.
has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
Dubois, please acknowledge.
Стрелец, лейтенант Дюбуа, как слышно?
Liebling, bitte. Ist unser einziges Kind. Where's die Warte?
The signals are getting increasingly mixed. Plucking Archer's signal from this will be like isolating a single strand from a tangle of hair.
It's not working. The crosstalk is simply too strong.
И что можно
I
сделать?
did not expect simply locating the signal to be so difficult. We must consider several variables. Local anthroponetic conditions, the sophistication of our transceiver, the quality of our connections, and the physics of our antenna itself. Our transceiver is perfectly capable, so there is no problem there. And we're also unlikely to change our local anthroponetic conditions. So, the next step is to thoroughly inspect our connections.
И как мне проверить контакты?
You need to climb up there and look at them for yourself.
But you don't have the technical expertise.
Someone has been maintaining it.
Something about this setup
Опа.
seems dimly familiar. But
Что-то в этой
you'll be
есть.
damned if you know what you're supposed to do about it.
Но я не понимаю так. Ну что, если я подскажу, что пойду так? Но я не понимаю.
That's true, but I can't leave my station, so it will have to be you.
Но если я
Then you
упаду...
might break your neck.
Ладно. Давай приступим. Мы лезем.
Your gloves give you a solid grip on the metal bar. This feels pleasingly familiar. You don't exactly cut a lithesome figure, but after several moments of scrambling, you manage to hoist yourself atop the monument. That performance was frankly an embarrassment.
Так, осмотреть соединение.
The connection itself is nothing more than a little braid of exposed wire wrapped about the hoof of the horse. A copper fetter, it cannot slip. The whole monument is covered in a thin but durable layer of oil and grime. It's obvious no one has cleaned it in years. The programmer mentioned ammonia, but anything alcoholic should dissolve the oils, creating a cleaner and clearer connection. It takes a few moments, but the alcohol gradually begins to break down the oils surrounding the copper wiring.
Is this really the time, detective?
It's all right, Lieutenant. He's simply cleaning the connections.
Once the oils have been dissolved, you wipe off the connections with your sleeve and reattach the cable.
It seems to have made some difference, but unfortunately not enough to alter the overall situation. Unser einziges Kind. Kann auch nächstes Jahr zur Akademie gehen. Ideally, narrow the receiving mode so that we can isolate the worst signal and eliminate the crosstalk. And if you don't know what you're doing, of course you could just make it worse.
Ты случайно два раза нажал. Понятно. Как изменить формат
What do you mean? You adjust the antenna manually, with your hands. I'm afraid we're out of alternatives. You're just going to have to go for it.
She's right. The responsibility is yours, and yours alone. There's no turning back now.
Посмотреть на Филиппа.
You are face to face with Philip III. The Bronze King looks toward the west. Something about his features seems bizarrely distorted. Not intentionally.
Я сейчас сохраниться не могу, да?
His imperious gaze leads you naturally to his outstretched hand, which, for some reason, strikes you as sadly empty. You can't help but feel that saber you picked up might just give this older king a little more panache and better reception. Come on. Kings and sabers are so played out. There's a better way.
Какой еще способ получше?
Why not arm the good king's valiant steed instead? There seems to be just enough room between its teeth there.
Поместить саблю между зубами лошади. Это уже дикость какая-то. Поместить саблю в руку короля.
To your surprise, the saber's hilt fits quite snugly in the statue's hand. The king cuts quite the triumphal figure now.
There is no way that is going to make any difference.
It's making a very slight difference. The signal is a bit clearer than it was.
Посмотреть на лошадь.
This faithful steed is in nearly as poor a condition as its rider.
Посмотреть наверх.
The sky is grey and overcast. Somehow, the raindrops seem to fall more slowly from this angle. Through the scrim, you can just make out the shadow of coalition warship Archer a few kilometers to the east.
Получилось.
Your grip is firm, yet controlled. The swelling in your headset guides your hands as much as your hands guide the bronze horse head. It's almost like you're hearing through the horse itself.
That's very good. Just a bit more to the left. Nein, Liebling.
The signal is clear. The storm has passed. This is another voice, a live voice on the other end of this invisible bridge you've established.
Try it now, officer.
Корабль коалиции, стрелец. Говорит лейтенант Дюбуа из РГМ. Как слышно?
Lieutenant Dubois, this is Coalition Warship Archer. We are acknowledging and accepting.
Ah! Excellent! You are connected. Now be quick. I don't know how long I'll be able to preserve the signal.
This is it. You're finally getting to speak with those who hold real power. And by that they mean the ones with the guns and the warships.
Так, сейчас, секунду. Мне надо дойти быстро. я здесь. Окей, погнали. Так.
There is so much you wish you could ask. Your efforts have bought you some time, but you can't forget what you're really here for.
Please be advised that you are speaking on a public frequency. What is your request?
Расскажи мне, кто ты. Как оттуда сверху выглядит Ревашоль? Чего на самом деле хочет мэр Литерн? Когда в Ревашоле придет настоящая демократия? Слушай, мне очень нужно поговорить с комиссией про ответственность. Когда в Ревашоле будет демократия? Это значит, что уже через несколько месяцев? Я доживу?
Oh, most likely. Though, of course, it depends on the contingency.
Что еще за непредвиденные
You must
обстоятельства?
understand, the moral intern is responsible for ensuring the continuance and flourishing of mankind for the next 3,000 years. The planning division must account for a great many possible outcomes and chance events. Fortunately, we have contingency spreads to help guide our decision-making. Of course, there is no one spread that can reasonably account for all these possible events. But at least, we are able to prepare for the most likely eventualities.
Погоди, ну как эти матрицы обстоятельств работают?
It's not really our area of expertise, but we can try to explain. Picture a smooth hill made from fresh dirt. Now, if you stand atop this hill and put a glass of water over it, what will happen?
У меня не будет воды.
You're thinking about this metaphor too literally. The point is that we know only that the water will run down, but not what course it will take. If we place a rock in the water's path, will it divert to the left or to the right? We cannot say. But we may predict which way it might run in either event. That is the essence of the idea. You might also imagine these spreads as a kind of tree, with every juncture representing a different event, and every branch representing a different timeline.
Ты хочешь сказать, что мэр Литерн использует матрицы обстоятельств, чтобы видеть будущее?
Not exactly. No one can know the future. But with contingency spreads, it is possible to predict what the future realities might reasonably look like.
Meaning, there are more and less reasonable futures. You should follow up on that.
But we shouldn't overstate their importance. They are simply one of many tools used by the moral intern to set a policy.
Погоди. То есть выходит один из... То есть выходит одни реальности обоснования других?
Well, yes. Just as some events are less probable than others. While we expect the vast majority of realities will fall within a normal confidence interval, there must necessarily be some that fall outside that range as well.
Что бы сказала про реальность, в которой мы живем? Она более или менее обоснована, чем другие?
Who are we to say? We are only a second signaler, not a metaphysician. This is the only reality we have ever known. So, how can we judge how reasonable it might be compared to any other? The key, we believe, is to be open to meaning, even amidst great uncertainty. But now we are only speaking for ourselves.
А как Ревашоль вписывается в эти непредвиденные обстоятельства?
That's impossible to say. It may be that Revachol has a great role to play, or no role at all. That is the nature of contingency.
Так, какова природа обстоятельств?
You must understand, when we speak of contingency spreads, we are talking about the most fantastically complex data visualization human beings are capable of producing, with thousands of events, from elections and wars to natural disaster or scientific miracles, and millions of possible outcomes.
Да что-то вроде... Ой-ё!
It makes your brain swell just to think about it.
Это что-то типа
It may be the
радио
case that,
будущего из
under certain scenarios,
потомка.
Revachol is vitally important, as it was during the collision landings in 08. It may also be the case, in many other equally plausible scenarios, that the Revachol is simply another once great city, like countless others throughout history.
Did she just admit that the coalition invading Revachol was one of those contingencies?
Ты хочешь сказать, что вторжение коалиции было одним из этих непредвиденных обстоятельств? И Ревашоль — это слепок истории самый важный город в мире? Глядится, да, славные дни этого места определенно остались позади. Почему мысли об этих непредвиденных обстоятельствах вызывают у меня такие неприятные чувства? Первое, давай.
No, well, not quite. The Model Inter never intends to violate another nation's sovereignty. That would be a serious violation of international law. But one must consider that the world was in the midst of a global catastrophe brought on by an unstoppable pandemic. No amount of contingency planning could account for all of that.
Так все-таки ты говоришь, что мы живем в необоснованной реальности? Ты хочешь сказать, что моралитерну пришлось принимать трудные решения во время беспрецедентной ситуации? Мне все еще кажется, что должен быть способ получше.
Almost certainly. Not many realize this, but the Moral Inter is constantly reviewing and revising its contingency spreads in order to improve our own decision-making. For this reason, responsibility for developing contingency spreads is only assigned to highly trained analysts working with advanced radio computers and a steady supply of drones.
Как мне получить доступ к персональной матрице данных? Матрице обстоятельств.
Even though we are only a second signaler, we can tell you with great certainty that there is no contingency spread for you, Lieutenant Dubois.
Это потому что, так, что ты имеешь в виду?
Simply that there is no such thing as an individual contingency spread. Please understand, we are not some totalitarian enterprise. We are committed to and bound by the highest values of individual freedom and opportunity.
Пожалуйста, поймите, мы не какой-нибудь тоталитарный предприятие. Ладно. Что ж, похоже на умеренный и разумный способ организации общества.
It is a work in progress, but it is also the best way that humanity has found thus far.
Он на самом деле хочет моралитерн.
A very important question with a very simple answer. We want humanity to endure. Beyond that, it may be said that we are the inheritors and stewards of Dolores Day's legacy.
Ясно, и что это за наследие?
Immeasurable. It includes interstellar travel, 3 scientific revolutions, humanism, internationalism, the welfare state, and balance of terror theory. Nothing less than the intellectual foundation of our modern order. The role of the Moralist International is twofold: to buy humanity sufficient time to perfect itself, and to patiently guide it along the road while protecting it from ideological highwaymen and eschatologians.
Что это за теория равновесия страха? В каком смысле? Давай.
It's an elegant idea, one of the cornerstones of the modern era. In short, it holds that durable, lasting peace is possible when the major powers are capable of inflicting unacceptable and irreversible destruction upon one another.
Как и Ревашоль, да, нанесли?
Because no rational state is willing to accept the risk of such a calamity befalling its own people. All powers are incentivized to de-escalate conflicts before they reach the point of no return.
И что, она работает?
For the most part, it has. The world is certainly not free of violent conflict, but in the modern era, we have made great strides to reduce its frequency, duration, and severity. It was established by many of the same founding party members who elected Dolores Day, and who, after her assassination, dedicated their lives to the continuation of their political and intellectual project.
Так. Кто эти разбойники и стахологи, о которых ты говоришь?
There are many. The communists say they are the next dialectical step in an inexorable spiral of progress. They claim to have resolved the inherent contradictions of moralism and believe they're just one revolution away from establishing a humanist paradigm. The fascists say they are both the ancestors of and the successors to Doloreanism. In other words, they believe that Dolores Day's reign simply represents a glorious phase of expansion within a greater Franco-Nigerian heritage. They criticize the DeLorean project for accepting and integrating new peoples rather than forcefully subjugating them. And then there are our prodigal cousins, the Vazan Social Democrats, who hold our same values and have even adopted many of our same rights and iconography, though they persist in rejecting the umbrella of moralism.
For some reason, it's the Social Democrats she sounds most exasperated with.
Почему социал-демократы тебе отвратительны коммунистов и фашистов?
We don't resent them. It's more that we are disappointed that they have chosen to emphasize certain points of dispute over broad areas of accord.
She speaks of them like a family member she's abandoned hope of ever maturing.
But of course, they also remain dependable partners in a number of centrist governing coalitions.
Так. Как все это вписывается в РГМ?
The RCM exists under the umbrella of the coalition, just as the coalition exists under the umbrella of the moral intern. At the same time, the RCM is not exactly of the coalition. It's our understanding that the RCM's organizational structure predates the coalition. We believe it may even be modeled after the communal brigades themselves.
There is some truth to that.
Вообще-то гарнитуру лейтенант.
But in a practical sense, it's the responsibility of the ethics divisions to ensure that both organizations are working toward the same ends.
Ты хочешь сказать, что РГМ это пережиток коммунистического прошлого Левашоля? Зачем тогда вообще нужны РГМ? Разве коалиции не могут управлять самостоятельно?
One now committed to upholding moralist values. Strange, isn't it? History is a river coursing ever downward. Occasionally, its course is redirected in mysterious and unexpected ways.
Ты хочешь сказать, что этот путь ведет нас к настоящей
Let us
демократии?
answer your question with a question. Have you ever seen evening fall over the old town of Vesperashi?
Где авиаспирация спускается ночью? Может, ты видел, в последнее время я все забываю.
If you had, then you would remember. It is one of the great wonders of the world, impossible to mistake or forget. The heart of the city, the old town, is a district composed of weather marble, comprising thousands of columns and arcades arranged around a series of grand plazas. During the day, it's a beautiful sight, equal to any of the great cities of Pericarnassus. But as the sun sets, the shadows cast by those columns and arcades weave together to form an intricate ombre lattice. When you see it, you suddenly understand.
The name at Vesperasket means evening comes.
Построена кем?
By thousands of people over many centuries, in keeping with a precise plan each believed in, but never expected to see the final completion of. Not only that, but you are also part of that centuries-long plan. When you cross one of the open plazas, your own shadows is effortlessly woven into the great lattice work, a deliberate synthesis of humanity, art, and the natural world.
Это невозможно.
She was. There are even those who say that at Vesperashi summoned Dolores Day, or that it was built in preparation for her, centuries before her arrival.
Я случайно скипнул.
That's why the old town is sometimes called the ceremonial heart of humanity. Of course, such a city does not spring from nowhere, nor does it endure without effort. Its construction was the work of many generations, and its preservation is an equally monumental responsibility.
Сколько времени нужно человечеству, чтобы раскрыть свой потенциал?
About 3,000 years.
She really had that on the tip of her tongue. It's like she has the timeline laid out right in front of her.
Это как-то невозможно долго. 3000 лет — это всего лишь мгновение ока. Нам нужно гораздо больше времени. На самом деле звучит вполне разумно.
It is in all senses the most moderate and reasonable projection possible based on current science.
Кто что написал? То я вообще забыл про смотреть. Потому что надо смотреть чат. Нет, никто. Так, это всех.
Liebling, bitte. Er ist unser einziges Kind.
Time is running short, officer. I estimate you have time for maybe 2 more questions.
You are currently speaking with Collision Worship Archer, flagship of Insurcom forces in Revachon.
Капитан?
No, the captain of the Archer is deeply classified intelligence. We are the second signaler.
Это понятно, но ты кто? Мне нужно знать твое
Our
имя.
name is not important. All you need to know is that we hold the position of second signaler aboard the Archer.
You really don't have the faintest guess what her name could be. There's something in the way she refers to herself, always with the first person plural. A deliberate blur of the boundary between herself and the institution she represents. Not to mention the airborne artillery platform she works on. Her every word is backed up by the most powerful ordnance available.
Почему ты говоришь о себя в множественном числе?
Because it's standard practice for signalers to use the pluralis oficialis during the course of our duties. It's meant to serve as a reminder that we don't speak only for ourselves. For instance, as second signaler, we represent Collision Worship Archer, which in turn represents Insurcom and the Coalition more generally, which in turn represents the Moralist International, which itself represents the interests of 1.2
Но это же
billion
огромная
people across the
ответственность.
world. It's an important responsibility, but we don't consider it any greater than those borne by countless people all across the world. Now, your request?
Officer, I've held the signal open as long as I can. Whatever you came here to ask it now.
Is everything all right?
Слушай, мне очень нужно поговорить с комиссией по обратной связи.
Acknowledged. To reach the committee, all you need to do is fill out the appropriate request form and submit it to the liaison for public affairs. If the liaison accepts your request, you will be invited to address the committee at their next quarterly public hearing. We believe the next hearing is scheduled for July.
Так, если сотрудник одобрит ваш запрос, вам будет предложен... Так. Чистый трезв. Обнаружил странную аномалию. Не скучный, обычный. Занимался радиохулиганством. Не желаешь расставаться с прошлым. Давай тогда эмпатию еще скачаем. Где тут у нас эмпатия? Это красная проверка, да? Это красная проверка. Надо эмпатию побольше вкачать, потому что тогда придется переигрывать очень много. Какая концептуализация? Эмпатию я хотел.
This isn't about you. Not really. It may have been at a certain point, but you've let go of that perspective. This is about your responsibility to all of Revachon. Now, take a deep breath. Look upward. You don't have to bear the burden alone.
Послушайте, ситуация в Мартинезе — это пороховая бочка. Если коалиция не мешается, погибнут люди.
What? How do you know this?
В ходе расследования я обнаружил факты, которые привели меня к следующему выводу. Между профсоюзом и Wild Pines назревает насильственная конфронтация.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is a very serious claim. Please describe the situation as succinctly as possible.
There's papers rustling in the background. She's clearing her desk, preparing to take notes. There, you've wedged your foot in the door. Now, if you could show the coalition how much they're needed, they'll have no choice but to intervene.
Ясненько. Так, мы третью силу сюда
You have the facts.
привлекаем.
Just lay them out beneath the cold light of reason.
Не так давно Уайлд Пайнс потерял контроль над военизированным отрядом смертников под названием Кринель. Во-первых, Уайлд Пайнс был полностью выключен из переговоров по забастовке. Я еще не разобрался со всеми деталями с Уайлд Пайнс. Происходит что-то странное. Второе.
Yes. Please continue.
Ты слышишь, как она делает какие-то пометки. Более того, я считаю, что профсоюз пытается обострить ситуацию, чтобы захватить контроль над всей гаванью. Я также обнаружил доказательства того, что профсоюз, возможно, готовит захват местной рыбацкой деревни. И, требования профсоюза о рабочем контроле над правлением корпорации выглядит совершенно невыполним. Первое.
Good God. Is there anything else the committee should know?
Ты слышишь, как переворачивается страничка и вновь бешено шуршит ручка.
Before you answer that, I urge you to weigh your words extremely carefully.
Раз уж ты об этом заговорила, я узнал кое-что очень странное о жертве в ходе расследования убийства. Еще я открыл здесь в Мартинезе феномен энтропенеза.
We're afraid we must ask you to repeat that, Lieutenant Dubois.
Her tone has shifted. She's no longer herself. She's reading from a script. Your words have activated some sort of procedure.
Что происходит?
Never mind that. All you need to do is repeat what you just said.
Do as she says.
Acknowledge. Listen very carefully, Lieutenant. We're going to ask you a series of questions. It is imperative that you answer as directly and truthfully as you can. Do you understand? Good. First question. Are you currently in the vicinity of Surrey, the North Arcade Islands, or near Pale Offshore Platform in Indico?
Нет, я в Мартинезе.
Very good. Next question. Would you describe the phenomenon as internal to the Isola or external to the Isola?
What she means is, actually, you have no idea what those words could mean in this context.
Я понятия не имею, о чем ты.
Answer the question, please.
Внутренний.
Next question. At the time, did you experience sense objects?
Можешь уточнить?
Yes. Examples may include sound, memory, light.
Это был своего рода градиент. Когда рейверы настроили компрессор, ритм стал слишком хардкорным, пожалуй, слишком хардкорным. Я ничего не испытывал, полное отсутствие явлений. Это был своего рода градиент.
Let's go on. Final question. Were you alone?
Of course not. The radio programmer was there. You are part of a large family. You are never alone. There's no need to overthink this.
We repeat. Were you alone?
Нет.
You hear the sound of a page ripping.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Please stand by while we transmit our summary.
A long winter.
I'm not sure how much longer I can keep the signal clear, officer.
Постарайся, но еще чуть-чуть.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is collision warship Archer. Please acknowledge.
След связи долго не продержится.
Thank you for standing by. We are authorized to report the Committee of Responsibility for Rebel has acknowledged and accepted your request. They would like you to address your matter to the committee directly, as their earliest convenience.
Это когда? Я сейчас вроде расследую
Local
убийство.
matters can wait. Collision Shuttle Laurel is setting a course for your position. They will arrive momentarily. Stand by.
To the southwest, one of the smaller aerostatics that hover above the city breaks from its holding pattern. Coalition Shuttle Laurel begins executing a slow turn, drawn by an invisible wire.
So? They're really coming.
The lieutenant adjusts his microphone and slowly looks up toward you.
Well, what now?
В каком смысле?
You've accomplished your side task. You've contacted Coalition Warship Archer. As suppose what I'm asking is whether we are about to lose you to the moral intern.
Ким, а тебе не приходило в голову, что может быть наше дело не так уж и важно? Ким, я устал от ощущения, что у меня нет никаких нормальных... но я боюсь, Ким. Я чувствую, что вот-вот случится что-то очень скверное. Своего рода оно вот-вот меня догонит. Своего прошлого. Ким, а что если это все, что у нас есть?
The lieutenant takes a moment to compose his thoughts.
I don't know where this case will lead us, detective. But in a sense, that doesn't matter. Our job is to follow the evidence where it leads. Consequences be damned. Because that's what it means to be an officer of the RCM.
The lieutenant's final words are nearly swallowed by the roar of the aerostatic's main rotors.
Lieutenant Dubois, this is Collision Warship Archer. We have been instructed to inform you that the Laurel arrived at your position. Please acknowledge.
No shit. How are they supposed to hear your acknowledgement over the thundering of their own rotors?
Лейтенант Дюбуа подтверждает связь.
The Committee of Responsibility for Ravachol has authorized us to offer you an immediate extraction. Do you accept?
Офигеть. Подождите, сначала у меня есть несколько вопросов.
We are far past that point, Lieutenant. There is only one question now.
The roundabout, Martinez North, daytime. Across the plaza, a pair of seagulls fight over the remains of a chicken wing. The programmer eyes you curiously. She does not understand why whatever her misgivings about the coalition, the fact is that you've summoned an aerostatic with your voice, an achievement she never thought she'd witness. The lieutenant looks up toward you. He starts to open his mouth, then appears to think better of it. He's spoken his piece, he thinks. There is something, a whisper, circulating among the city's footnoted alleyways and along its electrical wires. But what it's saying, you can't tell. It seems to be a message meant for someone else.
Давай тогда я изначально сейчас посмотрю концовку, она будет записана, а потом я переиграю и приду, вот откажусь. Я согласен.
Acknowledge. Laurel has initiated the extraction procedure. Stand by.
Marianne hat mir erzählt, dass Oscar nicht mehr derselbe ist, seit er auf einem Luftschiff
Weeks later, no answers about extracted cop. The condition and whereabouts of an RCM officer extracted by a coalition aerostatic 2 weeks ago remain unknown. The dramatic maneuver witnessed by dozens near the North Roundabout has reportedly increased tensions between the citizens of Martinez, the RCM, and coalition authorities. Early reports that the lieutenant was investigating entropinetic phenomena along the coast have not been confirmed. According to an official statement given by the RCM, the lieutenant was in Martinez as part of a murder investigation. A coalition representative declined repeated requests for comment.
Ясно, это плохая концовка, спасибо тебе, игра. Получается так, все, тогда я на этом, думаю, закончу. Короче, нас просто устранили как свидетеля происходящем. Ясно. Вот оно что. Ладно. Сохранение вроде было у меня. Нет, не было. Я сохраню сейчас отдельно. Все, и на этом, думаю, заканчивать. Спасибо всем, кто был. Насчет того, что я думаю, с коалицией разберусь, я скажу, что нет. Потом я скажу, что там было. И продолжим дальше. И останется дальше двигаться по основному сюжету. Дойти до... поговорить с тем мужиком, который там стоит рядом с вывеской. Плюс надо будет еще... Дальше, в принципе, дальше двигаться по сюжету, да. Сюжет пока мы тут не раскрыли, мы только поняли, что нас устраняют. Это плохо. Не хочу быть устраненным. Ну ладно. Всем спасибо, кто был. Кто будет смотреть это в записи. Спасибо. Всем пока.